good whatever time of day you're watching this thing. So today we are going to do a towel topper. And I did my first towel topper about 2.5 years ago as far as the design goes. And it was one that I didn't give away. I went ahead and kept it and used it in my kitchen. And it's looking a little ratty and bent out of shape and old. So I am going to redo a towel topper for my kitchen. And then I will throw the pattern up for you guys. So here's what we need to start off. Obviously, you print your stitch order sheet. This is the PDF that tells you what color changes. Also included in the zip file is the how-to step-by-step instructions. And I will probably redoing this because, like I said, 2.5 years ago, I started off with the Sulky Heavyweight, and I have now discovered a new WSS that I like much better. So we've got our stitch order sheet, our how-to. You'll need a piece of, this pattern's for a 5x7 hoop, so you'll need like a 10x12 piece of woven WSS. And we're gonna hoop that bad boy up. Woohoo! Oops. And I'm thinking maybe I might need to raise my camera a little bit. There we go. Okay. And we're gonna hoop that bad boy up. Other things you will need to complete this project, if you're one of those people that likes to get it all set up and ready to go, you will need 2 pieces of marine vinyl. For the top of this one, I am using mirror glitter. I don't like using mirror glitter vinyl on the back because it likes to catch my needle plate and that aggravates me. There's a glitter on my glitter vinyl. Ah. All right, so approximately 5.5 inches square. And then I also cut a piece of just plain black, 5.5 inches square. You will need, since we're stitching this on WSS, this is gonna give you no body, no firmness. So you will also need a piece of heavyweight stabilizer to give it a little bit of body. If you'll notice, this was just 2 pieces of vinyl, and after 2.5 years, of course it was hanging off the oven, so the heat helped a little bit, but you see how it kind of warped. I'm gonna try, I'm not gonna try, I've already tried this, I know this. If you put some heavyweight stabilizer in there while we're stitching, that gives it a little bit more body and hold. What else are we gonna need? Obviously, the perennial favorite, a little bit of tape. You will need about 6 inches of elastic. My elastic is either 5/8 inch or 7/8 inch. Let's measure that. It looks like it is 3/4 inch. I was wrong all the way around. Haha. You will also need, it would help if I just looked. Elastic. 3/4 inch. There it is. Okay. You will also need something for the hanger. This one used just plain old cotton webbing. Since then, I've experimented and found out that you can use some ribbons and make it all pretty and special. You don't have to use cotton webbing, so we're gonna be super fantastico. And you will need a cam snap. And obviously the tools that go along with the cam snap. And a good pair of scissors and tolerance for my shenaniganry. So the first thing we are gonna do, yada, 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 is we are gonna throw this bad boy into the machine, and we're gonna run the first stitch, the die line. That's gonna tell us our placement for everything else. Back in a minute. All right, so we have stitched our die lines, and this is our placement for our vinyl and our, like I said, I want to give this a little stiffness, so we're going to use some heavyweight cutaway. So you want to make sure that you cover all of your die lines. Okay, covered, we're good. Then you're going to lay your vinyl over that. Covered, good. Now we're going to take just a wee bit of tape just to hold it in place. It's not like you're stitching on the deck of the Titanic or anything. And if you are stitching in a Cat 5 hurricane, get out. Okay, we just want to kind of make sure it doesn't slip, slide, or catch. We don't need to secure it against 200-mile-an-hour winds. Blah, 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 blah. And there we go. And then we are going to throw it back into the machine, and we are going to run everything but the last 2 color stops. And since this pattern only has 4 color stops, we've already done 1. You're running everything except the last step. Pretty simple, huh? No, I'm sorry, you're running everything but the last 2 steps. Okay, yeah, it'd help if I looked at my instructions, huh? All right, so we're gonna run the pattern now. So we have ran all of the details on the inside of our towel topper. It is now time to cut the jumps, and you guys should know how to do this by now. Just as an FYI, a lot of these projects I try to do in the 770s so that I am mirroring exactly what you have to go through at home. That way, if I'm cutting jumps and I get to the point where it's like, oh my God, that is way too many jumps, then we go back and redesign it. I do have 2 machines that will cut all of my jumps for me, and I only use those after I have done smaller versions of stuff. So I already know this is a good one, this is a bad one, this is blah, 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 blah. And we're at that point in the video where I've run out of important things to say and you're just listening to me ramble. Again, I need to go check out knock-knock jokes on the internet or something so that I have something to say, because I know sitting here watching me cut all of these jumps is just fascinating. It's like the Discovery Channel has that show, which my cats love, but I find completely mind-numbing, where it's just watching a bird at the bird feeder. My cats love it. Of course, they also have nothing better to do but sleep and eat. So, okay. So we've cut our jumps. Yay! Now it is time to flip this bad boy over. And we have got all kinds of things we are attaching to the back. We are making a super hero sandwich here. All right, multiple layers. We got ham, we got turkey, got some provolone. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is we are going to take our, if you're using cotton webbing, we're going to take our cotton webbing. If we're using ribbon, we're going to take our ribbon. You want something between 5/8 inch and 1 1/4 inch. You don't want it too huge. You also want it to have a little bit of body, so I probably wouldn't use a satin ribbon. But when you're lining this up, remember when we first did our die line, there was this straight line right here. You want to make sure that you are about 1/2 inch below, and you want to make sure that you're nice and perpendicular, and we're going to tape it down there. And to keep it out of the way when we're sewing, we're going to also tape it down here. When I flip this over, I will roll this out of the way and adhere it to the top of my hoop. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to take our back, and we're going to line it up with our front. And we are going to, again, tape. All kinds of tape. We're going to tape it down. We're going to make sure our tape is out of the way of our stitch path so that we're not sewing our tape down into the design. I mean, it's not tragic if you do. It just means you and tweezers have a hot date later. And then, right about in the middle of our design, we are going to tape our elastic from left to right, just like that. This is probably one of the more tape-intensive designs, short of a stuffy. Okay, there we go. Our back is all taped and secure, and we got all of our goodies. We're going to flip it over, and remember I said I'm going to take this, I'm going to roll it out of the way. Roll, roll, roll. Okay, and I am going to, instead of tape, I know, shocking, instead of tape, I am going to pin it out of the way. because pins are reusable. Tapes are reusable too for like 5 or 6 times. Now we're gonna throw it back in the machine and we are going to run the third step, the third color stop, and that is just going to be a bean stitch all the way around this because we have to applique trim the front and the back. Back in a minute. All right, so we have done our bean stitch all the way around. This is so we can applique trim. So I am gonna pull up, and this is one of those steps where you kind of really need to pay attention to what you're doing and go slow. So I love my little duck bills, okay? I'm gonna come in and get me a start going right up to that bean stitch. Remember, this is like the Price is Right. We want to cut as close as possible without going over. You do not want to snip your bean stitch. So it takes practice. Practice makes perfect, okay? We want to snip both the mirror glitter vinyl and that stabilizer that I put down to give me some body, but we don't want to snip our WSS. It's easier to turn the hoop rather than the scissors. And you'll notice I'm kind of going in at a really hard angle right here, just because I'm trying to get right up against that stitching. If you lay it like this, it's going to give you a little bit of a, if you lay it more like this, it's going to give you a little bit more of a bevel. Okay, so you're going to have a little bit more sticky outy. And we really don't want any sticky outy. We want it to be as close as humanly possible. And again, everybody's like, well, you know, how do I get better at this? Practice, practice, practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. That is such an old joke. Wow. And no, I did not hear that firsthand the first time. I think that was my grandfather's joke. And he had some old ones, none of which were all that funny. So we've started a meme for dad jokes. We need to start a meme for granddad jokes. Okay, there's that. Now you think you're done. Ha ha ha, no you're not. You get to flip this bad boy over and you get to do exactly like you did on the front, on the back. And again, close as possible without going over. And here's the other thing. Once we get up here, we have to be careful of that ribbon. We've already stitched it in. We do not want to completely ruin this by cutting our ribbon off to spite our face. That made no sense whatsoever. See, this is what happens when you don't have a script and you're just doing it live. Yeah. And there is all kinds of going on. There, that's way more better. Okay. One of the problems is I'm not actually watching my scissors. I'm watching the camera to make sure that I stay. Okay, so as I slide my scissor, I want to be on top of the ribbon, but I want to get my marine vinyl. So there we go. And then again on this side, make sure that you do not get your ribbon, because again, it's tragic to come this far and cut off your dangler. Okay, and now down this side, and it's gonna get tough here because I'm going through vinyl and elastic. Ooh, that's ugly. That's ugly, like me in 5th grade. Oof. Boy, I am having a rough morning today. My mojo has left me. Okay, that's okay. We can get this. We can come together right now. All right, so we're all trimmed. Hopefully, even though I did an ugly trim job ugly applique job right there. Hopefully when we do the satin stitch, it'll cover up my uglies. All right, so we're gonna throw it back in. We're gonna do the last stitch, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. So here we are, all nice and finished. Yay! So what I am gonna do is, while it is still in the hoop, I'm gonna try and clear away as much of this WSS as possible. I like using my seam ripper because, again, I started off sewing and quilting, making costumes, so I am very proficient at a seam ripper. You can use scissors. Just remember, we don't want to snip that satin line, and we don't want to cut our ribbon or cotton webbing, whatever, or if you use nylon webbing, that's cool too. Okay. Pardon me. It's spring in Texas, which means everything is trying to kill me. So we're just gonna gently keep a little bit of tension and trim away all that bad boy. Ooh, there we go. All right, we are out of our hoop. Yay. I'm gonna trim up some of my nasties. And I'm not entirely certain which of these are gonna be nasties and which of these are just a little bit of that WSS left over. And now we are going to clean off the rest of that WSS. It's water soluble, which means all you need is a little bit of water. I like using a medium bristle toothbrush to clean off the edges. Because if you run it side by side, the side of the bristles, it puts just enough friction to get that WSS to peel up and peel off, but it doesn't ruin your satin stitch. It doesn't cause it to separate or come apart. Ooh, that's not WSS. That is a tie off. All right. So we're gonna scrubby, scrubby, scrubby. Scrubby, 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 scrubby. All right, and before we go any further, we're gonna take and put the water far, far away because I'm a tragic mess and I will knock that over and ruin something. And then we're gonna take a towel and we are gonna clean up. All right, get rid of, see my shop towel? Yay. Okay, we are almost done, guys. There we are. All we have to do is a little bit of the finish work. Okay, so this is a raw edge. You can put a belt clip here, and it just clamps on. You can sew it, but since we are going to be using cam snaps, and this is not going to go in the washer, so it's not like it's going to super fray. And I know some of you are all about anything that has a petrol product in it or plastics. You're like, oh, I'll just grab the lighter and burn that. I have a sordid and horrible history with fire, so we are totally not going to do that. So I have double rolled it, okay? And I am looking at where I'm going to place it. So I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to grab one of my cam buttons, and I am going to center it, and I'm going to pass it through all 3 layers, just like that. I'm going to press it down nice and tight. Okay. Yep, that's just about perfectly centered. And then I am going to grab the male, the pokey outie bit, and I'm going to grab my cam pliers. And I'm going to crimp that little button down, just like that. Okay, then I'm going to loop it around, and I'm going to figure out where the receptacle button needs to go. There's my receptacle button. I'm going to put it right about there. I'm going to make sure that I am nice and lined up, left, right, top, bottom. Yeah, looks good to me. What about you guys? Poked it through. Gonna grab my little receptacle button, the female, gonna crimp it down, there we go. I'm gonna snap it. So this loop is gonna go around your oven handle or your cabinet handle, which have you. And then your towel is going to hang down using that elastic. So let's go ahead and see what this bad boy is gonna look like once it's all loaded. I'm gonna have to move the camera so you guys can see the whole glory that is. Yeah. You know what? Let's go hang it. Ha ha ha. We'll have to move my Edna Mode costume. There she blows. Towel topper with embroidered towel. And critical failure from any of your dice games, because that's pretty much how all of my cooking turns out. All right, guys, talk to you later. Have fun.